So, in addition to the advising and the lecturing, you're also the founder of Good for Her, which is a nonprofit community for women founders that fosters their growth as they, navigate these entrepreneurial journeys. And so, for our next insight segment, we asked user testing contributors who are also women business owners some advice and what they'd advise other women entrepreneurs on. So let's listen to what they said.
Knowing now what you didn't know then, what advice would you give yourself before starting your business? I guess don't kind of bite off more than you can chew, because I had kind of grand plans about how I wanted to start and what kind of inventory I wanted. And I feel like I probably should have, planned smaller, and it would have been easier for me to grow gradually.
So I'm still pretty new to it, but I think like even in the short period of time, couple months that I've been doing it, it would just be to don't be so hard on myself.
I think that you need to just go for it. You need to just try.
Make a list of priorities, make sure that you create a budget, a deadline, and try to stick to it.
And getting yourself out there is probably one of the most important things you can do. And, face your fears and do that. I think when I started, I was a little shy and definitely didn't take chances and connect with as many people as I probably could have.
Don't be afraid to ask questions from people who've been there before you, because a lot of the probably some of the best advice that I've gotten have been from people are entrepreneur themselves, and they lived it, so they kind of have tips that you can't really read in any book. So that would definitely be like number one. So listen to people who've been there before.
It's okay to make mistakes, and everyone will make mistakes. And what defines you is how you bounce back from mistakes, not what caused you to make them in the first place.
I think that you should also, any positive feedback you get, any successes, keep them in a folder, keep track of them, and read them when you're feeling low.
Don't let the difficulties and challenges turn you off to pursuing this. It's every business will come with its challenges. Every business has people telling, or every product will have people saying that they don't like the product. It's not always for everybody. It doesn't mean that you have a bad idea or if you don't have a bad product.
I think every entrepreneur should know that nothing is off the table, and that success is measured personally. And so you don't have to have a $10 billion business. You can have a side business, a side gig. You can, make cookies. You can clean cars. You can mow people's lawns, all different types of things. And so I really feel like no matter what age you are, no matter what you got going on, you really need to understand that the sky really is the limit. Success is measured how you want it to be. And you can do something that doesn't have to be all consuming. It doesn't have to be severely expensive.
One piece of advice that you just gave was echoed in that segment, which is starting small. So your point about we the people and starting with sort of a very sort of narrow kind of, I don't want to say narrow, that sometimes has a negative connotation, but sort of like starting with a focus, not having to build this big, huge thing, but starting with something small and focused. And a woman entrepreneur basically said the same thing. So that stood out to me. What stood out to you, Julia?
Yeah, there are a few things there. I think one of them is defining what success is. And this is actually the opening segment in my course. I ask all my students to think about what success means to them. Not what their parents think, not what their friends think, not what their former professors think, but what does success look like to you? It doesn't always have to be money. It could be you've built a beautiful product. It could be a lifestyle business. It could be a lot of things. And a few folks in the video mentioned that as well, is you get to decide what success means to you. The other is this resiliency around feedback, right? I mentioned this earlier that we practice this in my course. This feedback dilemma of I'm hearing 6 different things about what I should go do next with this product, or some people hate it and some people love it. How to parse that is really, really hard, because at some point, and I bet, back in the early days of UserTesting.com, it was the same thing. Like, what's most important right now, and what signal am I getting, and what am I deciding I'm going to listen to? It's super, super hard for founders to do. So those are two things that jumped out immediately from listening to the videos, and something that I try to instill upon all the founders that I work with. I'll even say, when I give feedback, take it or leave it. I'd love to understand if you don't take it. If you do something else, I just want to learn and understand from you why you took that direction, just for my own learning, but not as a judgment call. But I do this for a living. There are a lot of people who give feedback who get insulted or hurt or concerned or judgmental if they're not heard. And I think it takes a strong founder to be able to decide what they want to do and communicate that well.